Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to 2 Samuel chapter 2. And we see here that David is anointed king over Judah. But Israel, actually Abner, the king of Saul's, the high commander in Saul's army, Abner, he finds a Ishbosheth, who is Saul's son, and makes him king over Israel's. So you see right now that there are two different sides, and you'll see that they do start a war, and they do start warring against each other. And the rest of this chapter talks about some particular battles and goes on to finish out. And it's actually the first verse of 3, but it finishes out. It says, "Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and David, but David grew stronger and stronger. The house of Saul grew weaker and weaker." And it's an important time in history, where Israel's kings, their first king had just died in battle. And, now that they have this important time in history. They don't know, everybody has an idea on what is right. And, as I was talking about yesterday, when everybody has an idea on what somebody in authority should do. But until you're in that position, you don't ever really understand or respect it. But what I want to talk about today is actually the first verse. First verse, it says, "And it happened after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up. David said, Where shall I go up? And he said, To Hebron." Then it goes on and says that David went up there and he was anointed king. And I actually just want to talk about, for a moment or two, I just want to talk about David's relationship with God. See, David's close enough to God that he can speak to him and say, "Lord, shall I go up? Shall I go up to Judah?" And he's close enough to hear him say, "Yeah, why don't you? You should go up." And that relationship that David has with God, it profits him much. He has a very intimate relationship with the one who created us. He has a relationship where he can talk to God. You see, and this is what the Bible is talking about, to pray without ceasing. It's always be in constant communion with God. And I look at this, and in my life, do I think I could have a better prayer life and a better prayer time? Absolutely. Absolutely. But do I think I try to commune with God all the time? Absolutely. I try to. And in important decisions in my life, I try to follow the Lord. I try to, when he's silent, follow his word. A very important decision in my life recently. And, for years, I have, I'd say probably a good almost 3 years, I've wanted to leave my full-time job. And I've wanted to just, Lord, I'll do anything else. I just want to leave. But I've been there for this December would have been 24 years. But I've wanted to leave, and I've asked God many times, and every time he says, a little while longer. A little while longer. Is that relationship with him. He says, a little while longer. Well, finally, this past May, I just really got upset over some situations, and I believe that I was in working conditions that I shouldn't have to work in. And, I'm not being prideful. I'm telling you that they were very horrible working conditions with cockroaches and just cleanliness issues. But so I gave my notice. And it says, I'm leaving in 2 weeks. And the Lord said no. He said, a little while longer. I said, fine. So I took my notice back and I told him I'd stay. And a couple of days later, the Lord spoke to me again. He said, Labor Day. You can leave on Labor Day. And I did. I stayed there. And that the very next day, I gave them a 4-month notice that I was going to leave on Labor Day, which was yesterday. And so I did. And, so much has happened in that time that I needed to be here for. And if I had left when I wanted to leave, I wouldn't have been in this country to do what I needed to get done over the past 50 days. So that relationship with the Lord kept me here. That relationship in obedience to the Lord is blessing me. And I've now I'm going to go on a little vacation, and when I come back, I'll be working in my own business, which will free up time for me to do more ministry, which is where my heart is. But it's that relationship with God. It's being in that constant communion and say, Lord, should I do this? Lord, can I do this? Lord, and sometimes he's silent. And when he's silent, that's when you have to rely on what the Word of God says. And you also have to rely on when you're hearing from the Lord, you also have to run that through his Word to make sure it is God, because, not all the thoughts that are in your head and not all the voices that you hear are from God. Some of them are your flesh. Some of them are the devil. Some of them are just the people around you. But it's the voice of God, and it's that relationship that I keep hammering home. Constant communion with God. It's something we should all strive for. Have a super day, guys. I love you all.